is Geek, everybody? Joining us this morning. What's up, dude?
What up, man?
Great to see you, brother.
Good to see you as well.
So, masterclass.
Yeah.
Next week.
18th.
Epic. I went to the first one. Said the whole time. I mean, dude, you had me so motivated by the end of that class. I was like looking up, how do I get my NMLS license? That night. I was looking up, signed up for it that night, literally. So, it's an extremely motivating opportunity. Right now, we're kind of in a, I would call it a refi boom, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, 100%.
We're in a refi boom. So, tell me about the content. Leak a little for us today, because we have a lot of loan officers, a lot of real estate professionals who watch this. Like, how do you take advantage? What's your number one tip for a loan officer to take advantage of a refinance boom like this one?
I would say, pay attention to the actual deal that you're working on and get it all the way into the system before going on to the next. These times can be just straight pipeline fillers.
Right.
And bog you down. Like, you might have 20 lock loans, but if you don't strategize your time perfectly, then what's going to happen is you'll have 20 expired locks. And as soon as you try to pass on a rate extension to the client, they're just going to go to the next competitor.
Yeah.
It's all about timing. Everything is about timing. You got to close quick. You got to get these things because there's so many people knocking on their door and calling and texting and doing all that. And so if you're not closing them in a fast manner, like if you're talking about doing 45-day refinances, well, then look at your pipeline, and I would say decrease it by 40%.
At least.
That's what you're actually going to close, truly.
Yeah. Well, and also turn times at a lot of places have really slowed down. People who, different banks that don't have the right operational support.
Oh my gosh, Wells Fargo, check this out. No joke. Went from 2 days to 8 days to 13 days in underwriting.
For conditions?
No, for original underwrite.
For original underwrite?
Yeah.
13 business days?
Yeah.
Oh, that's like 3 weeks?
It's bonkers.
Oh my gosh.
So,
wow.
This isn't across the board. This is just kind of like what, they'll post 8 days and then it'll be like 11 days and then it'll be like 13 days. So they might, if you guys are looking at your corresponding, you guys are non-delegated and getting those actual turn time sheets and they're saying like 8 or 9 days, like it's not going to happen in 8 or 9 days.
So then you need to pay attention to what the turn times are when you're going to do that lock, because that can really throw things off. The initial underwrite is 13 days. I mean, most people aren't putting a completely full, ready-to-go package in.
No, it's crazy. It's nuts. And, I'm talking to a correspondent, and they're saying, yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah.
Price accordingly, too. So, Wells Fargo, a couple months ago, made the choice that they're going to lower their interest rates for correspondent to try to get more, try to get the clients through correspondent, not just through retail, because under the retail channel, even though they're, the lowest rate and they were like $78 billion, they lost so much money. Market compression, basis points, like they reduced their basis points, I think, down like 85 basis points.
They did $78 billion in volume.
And lost.
Yeah. Money.
Billions.
Yikes, I have a button for that.
Yeah. So what they learned in that, I love that thing. What they learned, I guess, in, it's not just about getting the client and getting the lowest rate. So they're like created lawsuits from it, the clientele, like all these, there's a lot of negative things that can happen when you're just going retail. Retail is a little bit more difficult sometimes. So what they're, kind of making the decision of saying, wow, it might be better for us to actually just drop the interest rate on the correspondent. We'll still end up with the client, but we don't have all of like the EPOs, refinancing out of it. We don't have the lawsuits. If something goes bad in the first 6 months, sell that paper back.
The infrastructure costs too.
There's just infrastructure. There's just so much benefit from actually, okay, how can I end up with the client because they want the depository, right? They want the cross sale. But they don't want to run the risk. Hey, drop the rate on the correspondent and get everyone to lock on correspondent. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, well, it's a way that they can diversify the channels of business. And the banks are always looking at and identifying the different channels that are the most profitable, and then putting resources towards those channels.
Absolutely.
And I think that's super interesting though, because you look at some of the businesses that have done a lot of revenue. We can talk in the real estate business. We can talk about Redfin, for example, done a lot of revenue, not making profit. Zillow has struggled as well. And so when you see a bank like that do $78 billion dollars
Monsters.
and not make a profit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have a word to describe how gross that is.
I mean, they make a profit on their banking, but not on their mortgages.
Right, that's,
you know
which
what I mean?
and they probably consider it to be somewhat of a loss leader because they're looking for the investment money, and
They're looking for that cross sale.
And they want the cross sale, all the different products down the line. That's what they're looking for. So pay attention to those turn times because that's something that that's almost like a buyer beware type thing. Like, ask your loan officer that. Like, what are your underwriting turn times? What's my lock?
Yeah.
Is this a 30-day lock, 45-day lock? Maybe ask those questions because
Absolutely.
you can take their temperature real quick to see how close they are to knowing what's going on.
Also, what I've been learning really quickly on VA, so for the Earls out there, it's the clientele, that have like the Earl, that have the opportunity, sometimes offer a no closing costs. Don't just roll everything in because the increasing of the loan balance is actually making people nervous to the point where they don't want to refinance, down to the lower rate. And if they're in like the 4 1/4, 4.375, 4.5, and you can drop them down to 3.625, but not roll any of the funding fee or your fixed costs into the loan, you're going to have a much happier client because it sounds great to get a little, to get some more money in your pocket, but I think more people are afraid of adding more debt, even if the long run says that it's the right and beneficial thing to take the lower rate. So it's very interesting. So loan officers out there, you guys don't just shoot for the 3 1/4 and 3.375% at no points, but roll all the closing costs in there, or a Navy Federal is, the 3.125 at 2 points, plus rolling everything in there. I mean, their loan balances are going up like $18,000, $20,000. That deal is just, the consumer's going, I'd just rather stay with my 4.5. It's like, well, hold on real quick. Like, why not 3.625? I still want you to save, but you don't pay any, we're not going to roll in any fixed costs. And it's making them feel a little bit better. So that's like a tip.
Yeah, well, that's huge, especially on an Earl where it's really easy for the client. If you can make it a no-brainer for them, it has to qualify, obviously, for the refinance. But if it qualifies and there's no out-of-pocket, that's kind of hard to say no to.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not increasing the balance.
Yeah, so only increase the balance maybe by their payoff and their interest and then their upcoming impound account. Now, another little tip, and this is what's cool about the masterclass. You guys, I want to try to tell everyone all the tips. So that's the whole point of it. Flagstar is now saying that you can take the escrow balance and remove it from their payoff. Go to page 2 of your payoff. In the paragraph, it states that, instead of closing the transaction, then waiting 3 weeks later and your client gets it, and then, no, just roll the new impound account in there, and if you're with Flagstar, they will allow you to take the impound account and apply it towards the payoff. So do that, 100%.
That's huge.
Yeah, no one's reading page 2 of the payoff. I can almost guarantee no loan officer even looks at the payoff. Or must.
Read the paperwork.
Read the paperwork that you're given for free.
Juliana. Hey, we are live on Facebook too, by the way. You can say what's up to the Geek. You can ask your questions, your mortgage questions here if you're a loan officer. Want to ask a question about the masterclass next week, I definitely recommend attending. Juliana says, you guys are adorable. I love the Geek interviews. Hey, me too. It's awesome.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes,
Thank you.
Terrific. She also says, I wanted to ask, didn't one of your other videos say that if rates get lower, we should be worried? I don't know. I don't think we said that if rates get lower, we should be worried. If rates get lower, that's a whole other round of opportunities. And I do expect rates to get lower. Barry Habib has said, and we believe in Barry, that rates should go down. That doesn't mean that they will, but it's possible.
Yeah.
So it's great to know, like, hey, if I have money on the table I can take today, gimme.
Yeah.
And then if I can take more later, I'll take that too.
Yeah, definitely. Watch out for your EPOs too.
Correct.
So don't give too high of a rate and pay for all the closing costs because they're going to get hammered, and you don't want an EPO. EPOs are very costly. If the interest rates continue to go down, then could that be detrimental in the future? And yes, if they do like a quantitative easement number 4 that could be a detriment to the economy, because that's just more printing money and suppressing the market for the lower rates for the short term. But again, where the detriment could be is like, oh my gosh, is this going to continue to increase the values because more and more people are buying again? And yes, that could be a factor, but I'm noticing it's not the same as it was in like 2012, 2013 when the interest rates just got slammed. All of a sudden it was like a frenzy, 17, 18 offers just bidding up like $50,000, $100,000 more. I think the buyers are still saying like, yeah, we're going to take advantage of the lower rate, but I'm still not going to bid you up on your house.
No one wants a bidding war.
No.
No one's interested in that. Buyers are really shying away from it. And I think it's good. It's wise at this point, to not get into one of those situations. Maybe what you're talking about there, Juliana, is when Scott Boyer was on, we were talking about how there's negative interest rates. Like, for example, if you look at the bond market, and I'm just looking on CNBC.com right now, the 10-year in Japan is at a negative 0.131%. The France 10-year is at a negative 0.05%. So if rates were to go so low that they became negative, that would be a problem.
Yeah, that's detrimental.
But if you look at our 10-year, it's 2.05% still. So, holding on to the 2% is a nice place, I think, for that to be. If it goes a little bit lower, that's also good because remember, the government, us, are the ones who have to pay that back.
Yeah.
We issue those bonds to pay for our stuff. We have to make those payments. So if that rate goes lower, it's good. This is why Trump's pushing for it so much, because he wants the Federal Reserve to lower rates because it'll make the balance sheet look better for the country.
It will definitely.
And it would help. It would help things. It would help the economy. But you have to be careful. It's a slippery slope. You don't want to end up like Japan or France or Greece, where literally people are like, I'll hold on to your money, but I'm going to charge you a skim like the mafia or something here because your money's not safe anywhere.
Or the devalue of the dollar would be very detrimental to us.
Correct. That could also be a big problem. We don't want to see, we don't want to see inflation. That would be bad. And the Federal Reserve is there to skirt that, and that's why they raised rates. I think they did it. I think it was smart because we had the cushion. Look, the market still went higher. So hey, you can't fault them for raising rates. In December last year, the market's higher now than it was then. So that's a good time. If you're going to raise rates, you have to do it at a time when there's room to raise rates, and they had that room, so they took it. I think it was wise.
I think it was wise. I don't know if they need to go too much lower, but again, I'm not looking at.
We'll see. I would not expect that the Federal Reserve is going to lower rates this month, although a lot of traders think that. I would definitely think they're not going to even lower rates this year.
I mean, how much lower are we talking about? We're at like a 3.5.
Yeah,
3.625. I mean, what more?
And you're talking about mortgage rates, right? Yeah, and the overnight.
On the mortgage rates, like, how much more? Do we want to lower the Fed? I would keep prime at, right where it is.
Yeah. It would only help really the ARMs, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it would be good for ARMs if they lower the rates further. Then you start seeing people getting 3-1s and 5-1s again.
They're already doing it.
Are they really?
Yeah, like the 7-1 and the 15-1 arm. The 15-1 arm. You guys, the 15-1 arm is amazing. There's no point to get into a 30-year fix these days. Like a 15-1 arm, like how safe is that product? You get to save like 0.25%. I'm selling the Jesus out of it. I didn't want to swear.
No, the 15-1, and it makes sense.
I think it's a really cool program just because, 15 years. What happened the past 15 years? A lot. Mm-hmm. 2004. Can you imagine what has happened since 2004 and where we are today? And I would just have to start thinking about an interest rate, you know what I mean? And to restructure my loan that's 50% paid off or more.
Yeah.
I think that 15-1 arm is a cool program. There's no point to have a 30-year.
Agreed. When it's available, which it is, through Cornerstone and through the Mortgage Geek, then it's something to definitely consider because you can save that extra money. If you can save that money, why not?
Still safe.
Save that money. She says, second question, housing market about to hit the fan again. Is the housing market about to hit the fan again? I'm selling my home. I want to buy another one. Should I wait? I think it's dangerous, personally, to wait, to try to time the market like that. If you're selling and buying and you can do it in the same market, I think that's the safest thing to do.
You're always in the same market. Don't sell to then hold on to maybe buy later. Like, that's risky.
I think so.
Yeah. No. I don't think it's a think. It's you should not do it. Don't do it. Not worth it. Because if you choose the wrong direction, it's very easy to lose $100,000. Okay, so go to Las Vegas. I want you to play a blackjack, and I want you to drop $50,000 on the thing and say, I'm gonna choose on what the cards are. Because that's the same thing, right? So if you're not willing to do it there, like, oh my gosh, I can't even lose 100. Well, great. Then please don't do that with your home.
Yeah, what's dangerous about that, Juliana, is you go, okay, well, I'm going to sell my house now because it's a good time to sell, and then I'm going to wait. And I know some people who've done this and have done it successfully, and we're very happy about it, and it can work. But what happens if all of a sudden prices go higher, or what if prices stay the same and interest rates go up a lot?
Those people that won that, typically they'll be like, oh my gosh, I totally strategically planned this. Bullshit. I mean, it's so luck. It is. Did we know 60 days ago that rates were going to come down? No. Everyone was like, interest rates are going up. I was saying interest rates are going up.
I said it. I thought it for sure.
Everyone's saying interest rates are going up, rates are going up, values are coming down. Boom. Interest rates came down. So you can't time that market.
Yeah, it's too hard.
No, it's
too hard. I mean, the bond market really is the one that rules the roost. Stock market is a little, that's play money. Like, that's small time retail investors. The bond market is where the big boys play.
Oh yeah,
for sure. So that's what you have to gauge off of. And I think that is what really leads the markets. Either way you look at it, the bonds are going to ultimately control what's up. Now, the fact that in 2019, both bonds and stocks have done well, both have gone up.
Crazy.
Someone's wrong. So who's wrong? The stock market, which is traded by robots, AI, and a bunch of guys at home trying to be traders for a living, or the bond market where all the big boys are throwing around tens of millions of dollars.
Hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions on a daily basis. I mean, who's right and who's wrong? I'll let you be the judge.
Absolutely.
She said I'm actually selling with Redfin to save on the commission. I hope it works out for you. I really do. I hope it works out.
It will. Redfin's great. There's a place for everybody.
Yeah, it totally could. It totally could. So, and I hope it works out very well for
Absolutely.
you in particular. So, masterclass is next week, and we're going to post a link to RSVP if you're a loan officer, if you're in the business. This is something you definitely want to check out. I was at the first one. It was epic. And you get full-on geek mode, okay, at the masterclass. So
I'm like foaming out the mouth.
It's very geekish. So if you're into the geek, you will love the masterclass.
Thanks, man. No, I thought it was cool. Like, I liked it. It was fun. I think the sequence is good. We're going to shorten it up a little bit. Last time it was like an hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to shorten it up like 47 minutes and 23 seconds.
He's going to make 47 minutes and 23-second presentation next week.
Boom! Stop! I'm out.
And you're done.
No, so it's going to be cool. I hope that, we had like, 40-something people that came last month, and I think we have like 21 or 22 for sure is going, and some more people that are interested. So, just tell everything that's going on and what I'm doing and what's working for me and what's not working, the coaching program. I'm not trying to recruit, like, hey, if you think Cornerstone would be a good fit, then come and talk to Derrick and I after, you know what I mean? Or come give me a call, but I'm not trying to, like, lure people in by being like, hey, do you want some information? And you gotta come over to Cornerstone. Like, come on, that's lame. I just want to educate.
It's a tell-all. It's a tell-all. I mean, he is giving actual, like, this is how I structure my day. This is what I do in this situation. This is how I handle this part. If an agent asks me for this is how we do it. I mean, you're literally laying all that stuff out. You're giving tips on, hey, this is the technology you need to be using. If you don't have this, get it. It's a tell-all. This is not a teaser. This is a tell-all. So super, super valuable. And the people who came last time, I was just watching their jaws drop as you were giving this information. I think they couldn't believe that you were doing it. So I want to commend you on that because it's an abundance mindset that you have to have in order to share secrets like that and go like, listen, here, I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing. Here's my playbook. Now I'm going to go outwork you. So see you there.
That's it. You guys, I was still at the office at 9 p.m. last night and making my phone calls until the very last. I just do not cold call after 9.
Right.
I have a card cut off at 9 o'clock because nobody likes that 9:01 call. If they look down at their clock, it says 9:01 and you're calling to talk about a mortgage, they will light you up. But if that thing starts, it says 8:59, they're more than happy to have a conversation with you. past 9 o'clock.
Very, very true. And there's a lot of opportunity right now. And I know that you've been telling me that. Like, listen, hey, this is one of the reasons that you're in the mortgage business. For these great times. It's a grind. It's a hard business to be in. But when you have these gifts that are given to you by the mortgage gods, here you go.
How cool.
Here's much lower rates than have recently been available.
Like 1 whole percent.
Yeah, here you go. That's yours now.
This is free.
It's just a matter of doing the work, right? That's a big part of it. Is just that you have to know what to do. And I think that the masterclass is great because it tells you what to do, but also how to do it.
Yeah, correct.
And then it's up to you. Now you have everything. It's up to you. What are you going to do? Because I think a lot of people aren't really sure what they should be doing. Like, what should I be doing if I want to be a successful author? What should I be doing if I want to do $100 million a year? Like, I don't know. Like, what should my day look like? Who should I call? What should I do?
Everyone wants to talk about it. Everyone's like, "Oh, I'm $100 million. I'm going to do $60 million because I have 20 loans, that are locked." Bullshit. No, it's not going to happen. Sorry. No, it's not. You have to have that mind frame a long time ago and already have the system and already have the playbook set in order to hit your goal. Or what's going to happen is you're going to get 20, 30 loans in your system and then you're tunnel vision and you're just like, I got to focus, I got to close these. And then you forget that in between 6 and 9 o'clock, you need to be calling. You can't be working on a transaction. So, and if you're just working on a transaction, not closing, guess what? Your next month or a month after that, boom, explosion, and you're going to do less.
Yeah, well, it's the cycle, right? The
yeah,
waves.
No one wants to get into a yo-yo. That's awful. You can't scale a yo-yo. You can scale like, hey, I did 12%. Like whenever I'm looking at buying like another business, I always look at, I want a business that does like 7.5% to 12% growth year after year. That's what I look for. So if I see a company that's like 30% and 40%, I'm like, what's going to happen next? It might just come crashing down. I'm not interested.
It's risky.
Yeah.
It becomes riskier.
It's the same thing in like life.
Yeah,
Just
your
stay
business.
consistent.
Yeah. Are you building risk in your business? Is your business risky because of the way that you're approaching it? And what you're saying is structure it this way and your business would be a lot less risky.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a really good point. If you are used to be doing 8 transactions every single month and now you're going to be hitting something like 15, well then maybe that you don't maybe that you don't bring in any more of those transactions. I know that it's like, there and it's so enticing to make 4 phone calls to get more stuff in your pipeline, but maybe your processor, maybe your LOA, maybe the whole team is not ready for that overflow. And so you might have to like step in. So maybe not call that night. You know what I mean? Like, have a system in place. So if you're like doubling your business, you have to make sure that everyone can do that and perform on doubling your business. So maybe only increase it like 20% or 30%. You'll actually close that way and then you can scale instead of just, like what I'm doing, just
calculated
blasting
growth.
phones.
Well, you have a big team.
Yeah.
And you're keeping them busy.
I am. I mean, my team is they're waiting for a moment like this, and I'm gonna always tell them that I'm gonna fill their pipeline. I promise you. And yeah, I had to talk with my wife and kids and said, Dad's not gonna be home at nighttime because the God has gifted me these interest rates, and this is not always here.
Yes.
So
the mortgage gods have gifted us.
Like, sorry, kids.
Yeah. Yes, it's an amazing opportunity, and I think that what will be really interesting is to see how strong the real estate market holds up. To Juliana's question, with the lower interest rates, will that help keep prices up? We haven't really seen a ton of appreciation in the last 90 days. In any zip code, really, San Diego County, if you look at it. There's been some, but nothing significant. We're like, double digits over there, 20% over there. None of that has happened. And it's a short time frame, so you don't expect a lot. But you see a lot of different zip codes that are starting to get negative. And not huge negative, but 1% negative, 1.5%.
Yeah.
Over 90 days. And you just kind of go, that's such a small amount that it could just be, average sizes of properties that are selling, and there's lots of things that could factor into a small amount like that. But we haven't seen those numbers be negative in quite some time.
It's been such a bull run forever.
Years.
I mean, jeez.
Years. So it's going to be interesting, I think, to see what happens. But I do believe that lower interest rates can't hurt.
No. And here's what no one can ever take away from you. Hard work. No one can ever take that away from you. So just work hard, stay consistent, keep to your word, under promise and over deliver, and just continue doing that. And that is what's going to allow you to break through whatever happens in the market. If the market comes down, guess what? There's another advantage, take advantage of more investors buying. And if the market, stays really strong, well then take advantage of refinance cash outs, or, there's always a market. Just stay in the office, work hard, and stay consistent.
Yeah, it's great advice.
You'll always get through it.
Terrific stuff. And we should also mention, here's a big tip. Seller buy down. What an opportunity in a market where the buyer, is starting to get a little bit of a hand. You're starting to see some properties that look pretty decent stay on the market for long periods of time. I mean, we showcased a couple last week, or the week before, where I was just like, I can't believe this is still on the market, 90 plus days. And lower price points too. Don't forget, interest rates are down. That's great. But as a seller and as a listing agent, you also have the opportunity, and as a mortgage professional as well, you can put this in the ear of the listing agent. Seller buy down. Hey, 3.625 sounds great. 3.5 sounds great. But what if you could use a little bit, instead of making a big price reduction, what if you could use a little money and buy down a rate for the buyer?
Absolutely.
It's a dramatic difference in the payment. And also the psychological element of, well, I got 3%. What did you get?
That's like free money. That's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's a smaller amount of money. Like when you look at a $600,000 house that hasn't gotten any offers, where are you price reducing to? I mean, a legit price reduction is always said to be 8 to 10%, right?
Yeah, correct.
At least 5%.
Say like 50 grand, right?
Yeah, at least 5% to even be taken seriously. So that would be $25,000 to $50,000. You could do a $10,000 buy down and buy the hell out of the rate.
Absolutely.
So I mean, it's a more efficient use of the money. It helps the seller, helps the agent,
helps everyone,
helps the buyer.
Yeah.
So it's something to really take a look at.
And when you get into that market of just lowering your price, believe me, with all the technology out there, it's not good for your listing.
Right.
It's not good. You are just going to get slammed by having the house on the market and take it off and then relist and then take it off and relist and lower the price and do all that kind of stuff. Like now it's, hey, how low is the bottom? Mm-hmm. That's what buyers are thinking because they have access to this information. It's not like the old days where you have to go through a real estate agent to get onto the MLS. So it's kind of showcasing you just, what the properties are listed at that time. Like go on to Zillow. It's like price reduction, red, totally red. Like, it's like this house is going down, the Zestimate's lower. And it's like, that's my house.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to hide from a price reduction.
Yes, it's crazy.
You just can't hide from it. That's why it's such a dangerous thing because it's literally blood in the water.
Yeah, it's like piranha.
So, but if you just go into the remarks and you would edit it and say, hey, listen, we're offering a $10,000 buy down of your interest rate. That doesn't necessarily show up as a big giant red flag.
No.
That everyone can see.
No, it's cool. It's strategic. It's good.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
The Mortgage Geek, everybody. Loan Officer Masterclass is next week. We'll post the link below. If you're in the business, you definitely want to check it out. It will 100% be worth your time. Geek, great to see you, my friend.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Always great to have you. We got the plant right there. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
The bushes, yes. Share this.
Tried hiding.
Make your friends smarter than everyone else.